Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Friday, and all of today's guests, including Mike Keenan, standing by, are brought to you by the Bayside Oceanfront Resort. Elevate your corporate events at the Bayside, Vancouver Island's premier destination for exceptional business functions. 59 boutique rooms and full-service on-site catering. Your team can focus on success while their professional banquet team takes care of the rest. Call 250-248-8333 or visit us at BaysideResortParksville.com to book your event today. Mike Keenan is going to join us now. He's written a book. I've got it here. We've also got it graphically as well. Nice. It's called Mike Keenan, Iron Mike, My Life Behind the Bench. I don't know where to start when it comes to his resume, but 15th all-time in NHL coaching wins, 5th in playoff wins. 1994, sorry, Canuck fans, 1994 Stanley Cup title with the Rangers, and a couple of years later spent a couple of seasons with the Canucks. And he joins us now. Mike, thanks for doing this. How are you, sir?
I'm well, thank you, fellas. You're out on the island?
We're
in Vancouver.
Our station's on the island. We broadcast from Vancouver.
Okay.
Yeah, it confuses us. So, yeah. Okay. Hey, I got to ask you about the title of Chapter 1 of your book. I Really Am a Bastard, Family and Hockey. What is that all about?
Well, that goes back to a set of very young parents, 19 years of age, having a child out of wedlock. And as you know, at that time, that was harshly looked upon, but young people, and then of course they had 3 other children, my brother and 2 sisters after that. I was the oldest. So Scott Morrison, who is a Hall of Fame writer, did a terrific job writing this book or putting it together. Had the imagination to start it that way. So it's, I guess, a great way of kind of summarizing and capturing the title Iron Mike, my life behind the bench, and at the same time I lead into my life.
Mike, a lot of people would look at that title, that chapter title, and say, you're talking about your coaching style. Can you blame them?
No, I can't blame them, but I think exactly that Scott thought that would be a great way of capturing the audience early and leading into all the different opinions that various people have of my coaching style and myself as a coach.
Hey, Mike, Chapter 19, a curious 14 months in Vancouver, 1997 to 99. Rick and I remember it well. How strange was it to come to Vancouver to coach a team that you'd beaten in the Stanley Cup final just 3 years earlier?
Well, it was interesting. I replaced Tom Rennie, I believe, in November, and had to sort out a lot of issues in the team. And at the time, John McCaw, I flew out to Seattle when I had the call, and he said, "This is the worst negotiations I've ever been in." He said, "You're the coach because Mark Messier wants you as the coach. How much money do you want, and what's the terms?" So we led off that way. But when I got into the situation, I had reflections of Vancouver came very close to beating us. In New York, it was very, very marginal, a crossbar, goal post difference. But that was the same. We could say the same about the Jersey series as well. Previous to that, and Vancouver, for them to get to the finals, overcame a lot of obstacles as well. So. It was an interesting time because there was no general manager. I was put in a position after a while to try to make some changes in the lineup, which I did, which were very controversial. And the biggest one, obviously, trading Trevor Linden and the acquisition of Bertuzzi, McCabe, and Ruutu. But then Brian Burke came in, and that was the end of my career in Vancouver.
But was that team divided, Mike? You had Mark Messier there, you had Trevor Linden there, and a lot of people were upset that you traded Linden. But do you remember the time? Is that team being divided?
Yeah, there was a dichotomy. There was a split in the room. The guys that had gone to the finals with Trevor, and then a new supporting cast. So there was a split in the room, which makes it impossible to win at any level, never mind the NHL. So it had to be rectified. As it worked out well. That trade, Brian Burke was able to parlay it into the Sedin twins acquisition. Trevor comes back to Vancouver. Mark leaves and goes back to New York. So in the big picture, in the long run, it worked out pretty well for the Vancouver Canucks.
Hey, Mike, you say in the book that winning requires abnormal behavior. What do you mean by that?
Well, you have to find your a difference maker amongst all the teams in the league. There's 32 teams now. They're all vying to do the same thing. Some are more prepared and ready in terms of the depth of their personnel or the experience of their personnel. But to just have a sort of a normal existence, it doesn't cut it. You're not going to separate yourself from the rest of the league in terms of being a competitor or a competitive team. So that reference is you have to find a difference maker, whether I think it's a combination of many things, the talent pool for sure, your preparation, how well are you prepared, your mental toughness, your physical fitness, your emotional well-being, all those aspects come into play, the systems you're going to use, the opponent that you're facing, what are the requirements to be able to beat those particular teams on a given night. So it's a very complex, dynamic set of I guess, different variables that have to be instilled and prepared in your group, in your team to be successful in the NHL in particular.
We're talking with Mike Keenan. The name of the book is Iron Mike. Mike, my producer, his name's Ryan Henderson. He wants you to tell this story because I think it's one of the most interesting, kind of humorous stories in NHL history. Page 204. Part of your one season in New York, you write about Alexei Kovalev's 7-minute, you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
His 7-minute shift. What do you remember?
Well, we tried to approach him and try to get him to understand that he was overextending his shifts, and that if he played for 20 shifts at 1 minute, it's 20 minutes, and if he played at 40 shifts at 30 seconds, it was 20 minutes, and that he could increase the intensity level of the shift. And not only that, it was impairing the team a little bit because the fellow behind him would be following in his position would never get on the ice because he was double shifting in terms of time spent on the ice. So we tried to educate him, and I said, do you understand? He said, yes. So finally one day we're playing in New York and he's overextending the shifts, and I said to the team, when he comes over, I'm going to wave him back. So I do that, and he says, oh, this coach must love me. He told me to go back on the ice. And then I said, when he comes over, don't open the doors because he's going to want to come off eventually. And he'd come over, they wouldn't open the doors. Then he comes back again. I said, when he lifts his leg to climb into the bench, don't let him in. So anyway, he extended his shift. He broke his shift up because he scored a goal, give himself a rest. But at the end of the period, I said to Mess as we're walking off, I said, can you look after this? He said, yeah, no problem. So Alex was an extremely talented, powerful young player that had a real reserve for energy and has the efficiency in his ability and skating, and is so talented. But then it surfaced really in our series against New Jersey. He was one of the main factors we were able to beat him. But that's the Alex Kovalev story. And he thought, oh boy, this coach really loves me. He was so young, he could hardly speak English, so it was quite humorous.
Yeah, and unfortunately for the Canucks and their fans, it all worked out for the Rangers that year. Before I let you go, Mike, people want to know, besides writing the book, and as you said, our friend Scott Morrison helped you out with that, what's happening with you these days and in the future?
Well, I was set up to coach the Italian Olympic team in 26, and recently, I'm not sure if you're aware, but I had open heart surgery in April. And I shifted to a consultant role with them, with Team Italy, uh, because they had to move the program along. And I said, guys, I need time to recover. And I'm 100% now feeling great. But uh, in fairness, they had to keep that program moving and having tournaments and training camps and so on. And in fact, I missed the last World Championships because of it. So, uh, keeping my eye on hockey at the National Hockey League level, which I didn't watch much of for 2 years because I was living in Italy. So, kind of enjoying that part of it again, and getting involved in the game and staying in the game a little bit with Team Italy.
Hey, Mike, last one. Rick Tocchet, he played for you, and he's the reigning coach of the year in the NHL. How happy are you for him?
Yeah, I'm really happy for Rick because he's worked very hard to get where he is in terms of his coaching skills. I'm also very happy that I could probably name 20 guys that became either coaches or managers that played for me. But Rick, a quick story about Rick. His rookie year was my first year, and I watched him play in Sault Ste. Marie, and then he comes to camp, and he's a little bit of a tough skater, and I made him play it, I believe, every preseason games. At that time was about 10 or 11. And before the first game, I said, Rick, can you play in this league? I'm not sure if you're skating. He said, absolutely, I can play. He was more deliberate in his response than that, but turned out to have a great career. And now he's developed some great coaching skills with a coaching team, and the Canucks are in good hands with Rick Tocchet at the helm. Trust me, he's a fierce competitor and a good coach. So I think that they'll do well. They got a lot of steps to take in terms of getting to the summit or getting to the top, but I'd be confident in his skill set to be able to move that team forward.
Well, we've had him on the show, and he tells us that you were a big influence on him in a positive way, Mike, just so you know.
Well, that's good because he was great because he was very strong-minded and had great confidence. And as he got better as a player, I mean, he started out as a real hard-nosed, competitive guy, and he continued to be that way. But then he started putting up goals and points, and he'd come to me and say, Mike, I'm ready for a little bit more. And I don't know if you guys can recall, but the series against the Edmonton Oilers that went 7 games, Rick played, Timmy Kerr had been injured, never played in the series. So I put Pelle Eklund at center, was a real scooter, Brian Propp, very skilled, and Rick on right wing. And that was our best line. And that line was really a big part of why we were able to take Edmonton to 7 games. So Rick has had some, not only coaching experience, but also that playing experience is very valuable to him.
We could go on and on, Mike. Great to hear that you're feeling better. All the best, and all the best with the book as well.
Thank you so much for having me, fellas. Good luck to the Canucks.
You bet.